Gyros! Gyros. Hood baby. Make all the girls go crazy. Welcome back. It's another Monday and we've got another recipe for you. This week we're tackling gyros. Not gyros, not gyros, but gyros. Greek flatbread, tzatziki, spiced lamb, onion, tomato, a little bit of crumbled feta, and some banging crunchy oregano chips. Let's get it. First off, the flatbread, the fluffy blanket that is going to wrap all these stunning gyros flavors together. We're going to get our mixer. Into the bottom of that goes our yeast, followed by our milk, followed by our flour, followed by our salt. Stick a paddle in there and mix it together for 5 minutes on a medium speed. Take the paddle out, dust your flour onto the bench, pour out your dough, roll it into a ball, and then get that in a bowl, covered with a damp cloth, and you can leave that on the side for up to an hour. Chips. We're just gonna slice them down, about 1 centimetre thick, rinse them off in cold water, pouring those out onto a tea towel, clean one, and just ruffling them about. Now this is gonna take all the starch off the outside of the potato, which is basically taking the sugar off. So it means you can roast them without them going too dark around the edges, and they will get nice and crispy. You've got a medium-sized roasting tray, oil in the bottom, quite a good amount, and then tip your chips in. Just toss them about with your fingers and they'll go straight in a 200-degree oven. Let's talk about the lamb marinade. Now, lamb in the gyros is my favorite. You can do pork, you can do chicken, you can go with it wherever you want. This marinade will be suitable for all three, but these are the flavors I'm gonna put into it. So I've just picked some herbs from my garden. I've got some mint, some thyme, some oregano. That's just gonna go to the board and get finely chopped. Get that into a bowl to start off your marinade. Now we're gonna go 3 cloves of garlic, peeled. We're gonna microplane those straight in your bowl. And I like the good hit of garlic in this marinade. We've got 1 lemon. We're gonna use the zest for this, and the juice is gonna go into the tzatziki. Into your bowl. Now we go cumin, dried mint, healthy pinch of salt, good pinch of cracked black. And here I've just got some coriander and cinnamon, half and half. Decent glug of olive oil and red wine vinegar. Now the vinegar to this adds acidity, it adds a certain depth and flavour that is great with a good gyros. Now we take our lamb shoulder. This is half a lamb shoulder, bone in. I'm just going to take a sharp knife and score across it. Not too deep, probably about 2 centimetres. Take my hand straight in the marinade and then massage all that flavour and love, spice into the meat. It's important you get your hands in here. Do you know what I mean? You got to feel it, you got to rub it, massage it, get it in all those nooks and crannies. Now ideally you'd leave this to marinate for about 6 hours. We're a bit short for time today, so we're just going to bang it straight in. It will taste flavourful, pungent, but marinating it for slightly longer will just make it slightly better. Now because I'm 3 stories up with a balcony the size of a cupboard, I haven't got a big lavish charcoal and wood barbecue, but what I have got is a baking tray, a wire rack, and a folded up bit of tin foil underneath, so I don't have to clean the tray. You take your lamb, bang that on your tray, and that goes straight in the oven with your chips. Tzatziki, we're gonna take our cucumber and slice it with the julienne addition on a Japanese mandolin. You can grate it if you want. This leaves the integrity of the cucumber a little bit more intact, makes it a tiny bit thinner, and just adds to that overall texture. So Japanese mandolin in your bowl, and then you take your cucumber, and we're just creating these really fine slices of cucumber. So that's a good pinch of salt in. You give it a scrunch and a stir with your hand. Now while that's salting, we can chop our herbs. I've got a good bit of mint here, a good bit of parsley. I'm just gonna scrunch them up in my hand, stalks still on, get them onto the board, and then run my knife through as fine as I can. So our cucumber's been salting for 15 minutes. We're gonna lay out a clean tea towel onto our board, put the cucumber in the middle, scraping out all the bowl. Lift that up like a little parcel, and then squeeze all the excess juice out of that cucumber, and there will be a lot. Empty them out into your bowl. We're gonna get our ground cumin, a little touch of dried mint, and a tiny hit of salt, good pinch of pepper, yogurt in, freshly grated garlic. Now you want this to be your garlic sauce-esque thing in your gyros. You want it to be that hit of pungent garlic that's traveling through the lamb, through the chips, through the tomato, and through the onion. So 2 generous cloves is ample. Back in with our microplane. We grate that garlic up. Lemon juice into your flavouring, we give that a good mix. Now it should be thick. You don't want this wet and watery because it will leak out the side of your gyros. You want this pungent, kicking with garlic, fresh herb, and all those lovely spices. is done. Chips been in for about 15 minutes. We're just gonna take them out. They're anemic at the minute. The sides have started to go brown. We're gonna lift them with a spatula and just give them a good toss. Back into the oven. They're gonna continue to crisp up. So our chips are on the way. The lamb's nearly at the point of resting. The tzatziki's made. We're gonna make the fillings. Just the sliced tomato and sliced onion for the middle of the gyros, and then we'll get onto our bread. So take your onion, top and bottom, leaving the root intact, in half, and then we slice. It's done. For the tomato, I've picked a San Marzano tomato. They're long, they're beefy. They haven't got many seeds, and they're full of flavor. So I'm just gonna take them into quarters and then cut them into strips. It's alive! We've just banged this dough together with a paddle. It's been sat on the side for about 45 minutes. Flour your bench and get it out. One bolt proof, it's really all it needs. Because of the milk in there, it's gonna be a nice soft dough, and that's what you want it. You want it to be a pillowy blanket to lock in and hold all those flavors that a good gyros brings. So down onto the board, and we're just gonna cut it straight up. You don't have to be too precious with this. You cut it into even pieces, then onto your board, slightly floured bench. Because of the moisture in this dough, it's not gonna be mega sticky. So just a tiny bit of flour on your hands, slap down onto the dough, and then you roll it. And what I'm doing is I'm putting the pressure on the outside of the tips of my fingers and the palm of my hand. And that is gonna slowly stretch and pull the outside of the dough round to the bottom, and then create and form a lovely little ball, like so. Now you're gonna roll and cook these one by one. Flour your bench. I've got an 11-inch non-stick pan back here. You can use a char grill, you can use a barbecue, you can use a Gosney oven, or you can use a skillet. Flour your ball, then with your rolling pin, and you want to get this quite thin. You're probably looking at about 1/2 centimetre thickness. You can give it a little stretch and let the weight of the dough just hang out and stretch out the middle. And don't be scared of the flour on this one. Plenty of flour on top, plenty of flour on the bottom. Sprinkle of flour in your pan, and you go straight in with your bread. Now while that's starting to cook and bubble up, get your next one rolled out. When it's nice and bubbly, give her a flip. Once it's golden brown, nice and puffed, and been in the pan for about 4 minutes, take it out onto a tray, then cover with a cloth. This is just gonna keep all that moisture in, start to soften the bread. So from that high temperature in the oven, the outside of the lamb is starting to char. Those spices have started to caramelize and blister on the outside of that lamb. The bone is retracted, that means the meat inside is pretty much cooked. I'm gonna rest this for about 20 to 35 minutes, and then we're gonna slice into her and get her in the gyros. Chips. We're gonna drain off the excess oil in a sieve, get them back into the tray, and now we season. Dried oregano, black pepper, good healthy pinch of salt. Now what we gotta do is get some paper down for building and carve our lamb. Lamb onto the board. Now we shave the lamb. You get your sharpest blade, long sweeping cuts, and ready to wrap. So first things first, tzatziki, generous down the middle of your flatbread. Then lamb. Try and get a mix and match of the crispy outside and that tender middle. Good hit of raw onion, because I like it. Tomatoes on. Those crispy oregano chips. I've got a bit of feta in my fridge, so I'm just gonna crumble that on top. You can put more chopped parsley, coriander, mint if you wanted. Mint sauce left over from your Sunday roast, if you're that way inclined. I'm just gonna leave mine like this. I point it towards one of the corners. With the bottom corner of my wrap, I roll up. I roll up, using the greaseproof paper, almost as like a safety blanket to create that iconic gyros roll. You pull that paper back, and then you end up with this stunning, crispy chip lathered spiced lamb gyros. So we've got our beautiful flatbread there, the milk, the yeast, the flour, the salt, our lamb shoulder that's been lathered in that garlic, that lemon, that oregano, those cumin, dried mint spices that we've got going through there. Roasted hot and then rested. Sliced tomato, sliced onion, those crispy oven chips. That's one banging gyros in my book. And I can be your gyros.